And Mark, it's all yours.
Thank you, Ann. Janelle just rejoined, so if you can promote her to panelist, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. So I am Mark Isaacs. Good morning, panelists and attendees. I am the Senior Manager for the Hardware Certification in Schools Unit. Welcome to the Winter Educational Advisory Group meeting. The next one will be in the summer, so about 7 months away. Got a good agenda today. Got some new folks on the team, as I promised last time we met. Had some open positions. We filled those, so they'll be speaking on topics later today. So at this time, let's go around to the panelists, and we'll do introductions real quick. Zach, you're up first.
Thanks, Mark. Yep, I am co-hosting the meeting with Ann Fisher from DCA Solid Office, and happy to be here and help any way I can.
Bud Rice.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Bud Rice with Quality Tune-Up Shops. Happy to be on board.
And Clay Leak.
Good morning, Clay Leak with the Bar Executive Office, and looking forward to today's meeting.
Craig Johnson.
Craig Johnson Automotive in Roland Heights.
And my boss, Ferguson.
Hi, my name is Garrett Torgerson. I manage the engineering and research branch at Bar, and glad to be here.
And someone everybody knows, Janelle.
It looks like Janelle's having audio issues.
Yeah, no problem. She's well known. She works for me and keeps everything going. Kevin Rogers.
Kevin Rogers, Cosumnes River College Automotive.
Matthew Gibson.
Thank you for having me today. I'm Matthew Gibson, I'm Program Manager in Bar's Executive Office, who is overseeing the implementation of the provisions in Assembly Bill 471.
Thank you. A new member to my team, Matt Mulkey.
Hello, Matt Mulkey. I work for Bar, Hardware Certifications Unit.
Thank you. And Phil Fournier.
Hi, I'm Phil Fournier. I have forgotten who I represent anymore. I've been on this committee for a while. I was proprietor of Phil's Auto Clinic and a contract instructor, and now I am a smog tech, full-time instructor for Standard Motor Products, and also a holder of a bar license for my little business of selling Phil's probes and doing mobile diagnosis and programming. So I've forgotten who I represent. Anyway, I'm a tech and an instructor, so that'll do.
Thanks, Phil. Another member of my team, Sergey Suprin.
Good morning, Sergey Suprin, Bar Engineering under the Hardware Certification in Schools Unit.
Thank you, Serge. And finally, Steve Tamori. Give Steve a minute. Janelle, want to introduce yourself real quick? I know everybody knows you. Your audio is working again.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Janelle Calendis with the Bar Hardware Certification in Schools Unit.
Yeah, little hang up there, Janelle. Hopefully it'll get better. Okay, Ann, let's go ahead and present the agenda. Okay, we've got about 8 or 9 things today. So we'll start with Matt Mulkey, Institutional Instruction Regulation Package. Right there, thank you. Go ahead, Matt.
Good morning. So we've been working on redoing the institution instruction and regulations. They're pretty dated. They're from back when I was in automotive school. So some of the things we're doing is cleaning up what's like, they still have basic and advanced on the regs. So we're trying to get rid of that. And we're going to just make it a license to teach and a license to be a school. We're also going to change it from 1 year to 2 years, so it's less burdensome on schools and instructors to renew every single year. With that, if you're a new instructor, a new school, it might be a little less than 2 years, might be a little bit more than 2 years, just like a SMOG license is. We'll adjust it accordingly so that you fall in line with the common date. A common date for a lot of schools is going to be your BPPE. And if it's not, and you're like an owner operator for a smaller school, then we'll line it up with your SMOG inspector technician date. So you have one date to remember every 2 years instead of multiple dates. Should make it easier for everybody. Our list of tools and required equipment in our laws and regs is also from, I believe, 1995, 1999. So we're updating that. We're going to make that more in line with a STAR test and repair station. That way the students you teach can go anywhere and be a tech instead of having a non-STAR and a STAR school. Just everybody teaches the same level. So we're producing good techs statewide. We've updated some of the things to protect students and CYA for schools as well. Like if you're going to cancel a class, what's the policy for refunds? What's things like that? Just administrative stuff on the school side. Nothing markedly different, just cleaning it up a little bit. That's what a lot of this is. Improved remediation for problematic institutions. Our decertification process for bad actors doesn't have a lot of teeth to it, so we're trying to strengthen that up. That should make the industry as a whole better if we can get rid of some bad actors. Should make all the good ones more profitable and just makes the world better. And there are a lot of the things that are in our laws and regs, like the equipment and what to teach and how to teach. That's in the regulations and it really doesn't belong there. So we're moving that into a new handbook because again, the handbook is from the 90s. So we're updating the handbook for schools and instructors. And we're putting a lot of the requirements in there, the curriculum requirements, all that kind of stuff is going to be in there. Easier to find instead of looking up in the laws and regs, trying to figure out what code it is. It's in a handy dandy notebook. And that's what I have for instructors. Wait, no, that was institutions. Oh, you switched to instructors already. Awesome. A lot of the same things for instructors. We're getting rid of the basic and advanced instructors. We're getting rid of the gaseous fuel endorsement. The pathways to be an instructor, they're a little convoluted right now. So we're cleaning those up and we're going to make, I believe, 4 paths to become an instructor, depending on your education and experience levels. You'll still have to go through the written test and a presentation because some people are really great at instructing, but they have no automotive knowledge, and some people are great at automotive but can't instruct. We'd like to make sure you're competent in both. Our continuing education for instructors, we're bumping the requirement up just a couple hours. Instead of doing the 6 or 8 hour Rocky class, for lack of a better term, we'd like you to do some actual continuing education in automotive, diagnostics, emissions, sort of broadly categorized like that. I got an email saying that we are requiring manufacturer specific training, and I've never heard of that until I got that email. So we're not requiring that if you're hearing that rumor. I think that would be an undue burden on the smaller schools. Not everybody has access to like a Ford FACT program or a Toyota TTEP in their school. Let's see. And then again, remediation for problematic instructors. Again, our decertification of an instructor doesn't have a lot of teeth in our laws and regs. So we're trying to fix that. I'm sure you've all have heard stories of instructors that aren't awesome. So we're trying to fix that. Just improve the whole industry. And again, our standards for teaching as an instructor or school are from the 90s, so we're updating those. So that's going to be one handbook for institutions and instructors. It's not going to be 2 separate handbooks. So it should be everything you need to know if you have questions about how to teach or what to teach should be in that book. I believe that's all I have on this.
Just wondering if that's subject to any questions at present or later on.
I think that's a question for the moderator. I'm not opposed to them.
And are we doing questions after each section?
It's up to you, honestly. I'm happy to open it up if you'd like.
Let's do that.
Yeah, let's get them out while people are still thinking about them.
All right, so we're gonna start the Q&A feature of WebEx, but then you also have some other options to raise your hand. So let's go ahead and you'll see an icon in the lower right-hand corner of your WebEx screen with a question mark inside a square. You can type in the text field comment, and we will take comments in the order received. There's also a raise hand icon next to your name. I do notice that we are having some bandwidth issues, so we're not particularly encouraging video feeds at this time, but let's go ahead and see. I do have a virtual hand raise from Bud Rice. If you'd like.
Yes, hi, good morning. I'm kind of curious, and like Phil said a minute ago, I've also been kind of going along here for quite some time, and one of the things that's bothered me a little bit is that we don't seem to have some kind of a score sheet that we track for what it is we're trying to do. For lack of a better term, I would call it like a whiteboard on the wall, and we might say, here are the things that we think are important, here are the recommendations that as a group we would like to put forward, and then over time what things have been taken up, what things have we gotten some action on, what things are still outstanding, so we can kind of not reinvent the wheel every time, but just kind of follow along on those things that are important to us. My fear is that we have to keep reinventing the wheel and starting over again. I mean, the fact that we're extending some of the testing time frames, that's great news. But there's also a lot of other things that we've kind of thrown on the table along the way, and I just hate to think that a lot of that stuff just kind of got lost in the shuffle, and that we don't have a mechanism. You know, as an example, maybe at the end of our calendar year, we do kind of a summary of what it was we brought up, what it was we thought was important, the changes that have been made to the things based on those recommendations. These are the still outstanding things that we've still got on the board. And so we can kind of follow along and keep track of whether or not we're making the difference and what that difference is. So I just wanted to make that comment. Thank you.
That's
Right.
And then let's see. So panel member Phil has his hand raised, but I also have public comments. So let's go ahead and take Phil.
Thank you. I'm wondering about the educational requirements, which I fully support. I think that's excellent. We need to have update training. It would be helpful if it could be defined as to how it is to be documented and what qualifies, you know, as an automotive instructor, and that's my job. I have many hours of personal instruction that I have to take in order to be qualified to teach the stuff that I teach. As to, you know, what constitutes acceptable would be helpful to make sure that we understand what it is and how to report it. I have no objection to the requirement. I think it's excellent and it's necessary. That's all.
Thank you.
And let's see, we do.
I just want to respond to Phil a little bit. So Phil, we aren't quite ready to post the proposed regulations yet, but I agree completely with what you're saying. We want your input on it. And once those regulations are posted, you'll be able to see what the specific recommendations are, and you'll be able to comment at that point to provide your insight and suggested changes to make it even better.
Thank you. That sounds good, Garrett.
And then we do have one comment from Brian Palmater. I'm going to send you a request to unmute your microphone so that you can make your comment.
I was just commenting on the fact that I'm inquiring about when the applications for the new instructors are going to start up again. I applied almost, I think, 3 years ago. It seems like an awful long time to be waiting for a response on when we might be able to get that application process going and the testing and so forth going again.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
Hi, Brian. This is Janelle Lindis from the Hardware Certification Unit. And I just want to let anybody know that if you are applying to become a certified instructor, we are asking anybody that is basically to reapply since we've changed the applications. Those changed the beginning of last year, January of 2021. The application is on the BAR website. During the last 2 years with COVID, we have not been able to do any evaluations of any sort. So we are looking to reopen those, hopefully in a smaller capacity sometime this year. So if you can reapply, and I'll be talking about that later on in the presentation as well.
Thanks, Janelle.
And Kevin Rogers, you have your hand up.
Yes. Zach, one thing you want to be sure to look at, which we've had some problems with, is defining the training, whether it can be online, whether it has to be, we've had issues with ASE certification of our instructors, documenting online training and hours. So you may want to look at that a little bit when you're looking at these regs.
Thank you.
And I do not see any other requests for public comment. Shall I close out the Q&A so we can move on?
Yes, Ann, thank you.
You're welcome.
And next up is Matthew Gibson, going to give us an overview of AB 471. Go ahead, Matthew.
Thank you, Mark. I have just one quick question before I go. Are we doing cameras on or not?
If you're speaking, you have your camera on. For those that aren't speaking, it's best they're off.
Okay.
Also, Matt, this is Zach here. I'm going to slide over controls of your presentation to you so you can flip through the slides if you're comfortable with that.
That's perfect. Thanks. Alrighty, well, again, I'm Matthew Gibson, and thank you for allowing me to speak to the Educational Advisory Group today. So my PowerPoint presentation is about 10 slides long. I'll be going over BAR's proposed ARD citation program, BAR's Auto Shop Locator, and how both of those things are impacted with the passage of Assembly Bill 471. And I'll be going over the vehicle safety and the future vehicle safety inspection program. But let me start with Assembly Bill 471, which was signed by the governor on September 28th of last year. So AB 471 clarifies that an automotive repair dealer must possess a valid BAR registration to not only have lien authority, but also have the ability to charge storage fees with applicable laws. It requires recognition of educational certificates on the ARD application, and no sooner than July 1st of 2023, it creates a 3-member panel for informal review of ARD citations. It creates a remedial training process and certification program for remedial training providers, and it creates a vehicle safety inspection and certification program by January 1st of 2024. The goal of the proposed ARD citation program is to fill the gaps between BAR's educational efforts and formal disciplinary action, address violations of a concerning nature that are frequently occurring but by themselves do not rise to the level warranting disciplinary action, and provide consumers with information about concerning violation BAR identifies so that they can make a more informed decision when choosing a repair facility. So I'd say that over the years, BAR has had various ways of notifying repair dealers about violations that we find during our investigations. We used to have the notice of violation that we would provide to a facility as a result of a complaint investigation or a station inspection, and those violations would then be posted to the internet. Currently, any violation identified as a result of a complaint investigation or a station inspection is provided as the copy of it's recorded on the station inspection report, and a copy of the station inspection report is provided to the facility owner. That information is included in the investigative report that the representative generates at the conclusion of the investigation. When we identify a violation that is of concern or a pattern of violations, We address those through our educational efforts, and I'm talking about our proactive conferences or our office conferences. And we're concerned that those internal processes are inadvertently keeping that information from the public until we file an accusation to take disciplinary action against a registrant. And we're working to correct that with our existing authority. So as currently drafted, these are the citable violations. The first one is negligence, which would be a new California Code of Regulations 3351.7. And again, as drafted, means of deviation from a standard of care for an automotive repair dealer that could foreseeably result in injury or harm to a consumer, personal property, or the public during or as a result of maintenance and or repair of a motor vehicle. There's inaccurate invoices, but specific to labor that was not performed or parts that were not supplied as invoice, but where investigation finds a bona fide error. Maintenance of records, specific to providing records requested in response to a specific complaint. Accepted trade standards, and we're talking about all the accepted trade standards. So ball joints, engine changes, automatic transmission, air conditioning, and the more auto body specific trade standards. So auto body and frame repair, inflatable restraint systems, and also the equipment requirements. So 3351.5, which is the requirements for auto body repair facilities, and 3351.6, which is the requirements for air conditioning repairs. So on fine amounts and appeal process, citations shall include an order of abatement. Fine amounts will not exceed $5,000, even if the citation lists multiple violations. Fine amounts will be based on 7 factors in aggravation and mitigation. I know it says 8, but it's actually 7. And if you want to know what those are, feel free to ask when I get through the PowerPoint, and I will list them out for you. And ARDs may contest a citation within 30 days of issuance. So here's how Assembly Bill 471 impacts the proposed ARD citation program. So 471 creates an informal appeal process for ARD citations that does not currently exist. It creates a 3-member panel to review informal appeals. The panel would consist of a representative from BAR, from the industry, and from the public. And if a registrant is unhappy with the outcome of the informal review, they could then formally appeal the matter to a hearing with an administrative law judge. It also creates a remedial training process to prevent disclosure of a citation, but only once every 18 months. On the Auto Shop Locator, the Auto Shop Locator allows consumers to locate automotive repair dealers based upon location and license type. The Auto Shop Locator displays automotive repair dealer registration information. And by registration information, I'm talking about license type, whether it's an automotive repair dealer, lamp and brake station, smog check station. It'll show the license status, whether the registrant or the ARD is valid or valid on probation. It'll show the license expiration date, the associated licenses, the owner or owners' names, or the names of the corporate officers. If the facility has pending action, or if the facility is on probation, the facility's name and information on the Auto Shop Locator has like a red border around it. And if you want to know what that looks like, please feel free to go on the Auto Shop Locator and locate a shop that has a red border on it. It'll say that, accusation filed or on probation. The Auto Shop Locator also displays the location and phone number according to BAR records, a map of the location, and disciplinary and citation history. And by disciplinary and citation history, we actually have copies of the documents. So it would be a copy of the accusation or the final decision or the violations that the facility was cited for. Related to the, did I move my slide? There we go. Related to the Auto Shop Locator, Assembly Bill 471 requires BAR to accept and connect educational and professional certifications to BAR issued registrations. And by educational and professional certifications, we're talking about nationally recognized and industry accepted or Bureau approved. The intent of AB 471 is to have the information posted to the Auto Shop Locator. 471 also, again, allows ARDs to prevent disclosure of a citation upon completion of remedial training for a violation that BAR deems to be minor in nature. But again, that's only available once every 18 months. And that takes me to the Vehicle Safety Inspection Program. So as required by Assembly Bill 471, forthcoming development of regulations will combine the lamp and brake inspection programs into one program, allow BAR to add additional vehicle systems for inspection, and move bar from a from a paper to an electronic certificate of compliance for these inspections. And once we start going into questions, I don't know how much time I'm going to have. I am curious from this group about one thing related to the vehicle safety inspection program, and specifically about additional systems. As I've been giving this presentation, I usually ask for feedback, like what other systems do you think we should be including? If we get through the questions and we move on, and you don't tell me, or if you don't want to bring it up during the educational advisory group, you can feel free to email that information to me at my email address that's on this slide. And that is the end of my PowerPoint.
Thank you, Matthew. And I'm sure you'll get lots of response on that. But for now, Anne, if you could open up the question.
Certainly, and I do see I do see some comments from panelists. So let's start with those. Craig Johnson.
I have a question on accepted trade standards. So I get the accepted trade standards. I'm sorry for the phone in the background. I get the accepted trade standards for things such as automatic transmission, AC, things that are pretty common, but you know, newer cars have newer procedures, and if BAR gets a complaint of a repair, and let me just use an example I had here recently. I had a late model Ford pickup here with a network issue, and if you got a complaint and about the way I did my repair, there's many ways you can diagnose a network. Everybody has their own way to do it. So back to accepted trade standards, if there is no accepted trade standards, then what do you do, or how's that defined? It seems kind of loosey-goosey a little bit.
Well, I appreciate what you're saying. I will tell you that when we talk about our disciplinary actions, so I'm moving this away from the realm of our citation, and I'll get to that in a second, we would, if we felt that a facility had inappropriately or repaired a car, they'd done something incorrect, we could include a violation of an accepted trade standard, but there would be some sort of a basis for that finding. Usually would rely on some sort of manufacturer repair procedure that we would say that it was supposed to be done like this, but in fact the shop had proceeded in this way. If there was a dispute, we wouldn't even include it as a violation in a disciplinary action. Related to our citation program, though, we are only going to be going off the accepted trade standards that are currently exist in regulation. We're not going to be going into other realms.
Okay.
That's why they can be based on the actual regulation sections.
And just one to tag off that question, is there, when you currently have a complaint against a shop and something's kind of technical like that, do you seek industry's input? You know, as far, because what may be a way out of line standard or a way of doing something to you may not be so out of line in industry that we all do nowadays. So do you have like an ombudsman like they used to have that you can seek out, or a panel such as this one to run this by, hey, we got this complaint, and is this the way you guys would have done this kind of thing? Is there such a thing that exists like that?
I just want to make sure I understand. The question you're asking me is about complaint investigation procedure, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Relating to accepted trade standards.
Well, I mean, our accepted trade standards that are in regulation are fairly specific. But if you're talking about the scenario that you provided, let's just say I didn't, as a field representative investigating the complaint, I didn't really know if what you did worked or didn't work. I mean, I would talk amongst the other PRs within my field offices, maybe ones that just came out of the industry, or draw upon additional resources within the industry, maybe even people that work at the dealership that, you know, has the car line in question. And I know that I did that as a PR1, and I know reps do that.
Thank you.
Okay, and I see Phil has his hand up.
Yeah, this is probably more appropriate for the bag. I have.
I'll be presenting a bag too.
Okay. I have two potential comments here. I'm not exactly sure how that assembly bill got past us without a comment, saying us as being a representative of the auto repair industry more than from the educational side. But I just want to recall to memory the reason why those bar citations disappeared off the website probably 15 years ago due to the unscrupulous action of some ambulance chasing lawyers who executed lawsuits against 5,000 or 6,000 ARDs for such things as no mileage on the estimate copy, and they ended up with a extortioning $5,000 lawsuit, which many inadvertently went ahead and paid, only to be sued again after the fact anyway. So those things disappeared off the website because it was being misused by, other state licensed individuals. At any rate, anything that raises this level of standards for the auto repair industry, in my opinion, is a good thing. I'm wondering about you mentioned sort of briefly educational requirement for an ARD, which currently there's none. It's whatever, $250 or $300 and you get your ARD. There's no requirement that you even have a tackle box of tools or anything at all. And we have often discussed that. I'm interested in what this assembly bill has in mind for educational requirement for an ARD. That should be of interest to this committee, I would think.
Well, nothing in the Assembly Bill talks about the educational requirements for an automotive repair dealer. The thing that's in the Assembly Bill has to do with a provision that allows non-disclosure of a citation through taking a remedial training course. The remedial training course, the remedial training course it would be an 8-hour class that would be conducted by a bar certified provider and would cover compliance with the laws and regulations.
Would this be the same bar certified provider that is currently doing smoke check training? It's sort of a different, it's a different area of expertise as opposed to knowing, smog check and emissions repair procedures. I just wonder about that.
I would say that as we've been drafting the regulations, we're not envisioning that the smog check instructors would be the ones providing this training.
Okay, very good. Thank you. That'll do for now.
And then it looks like Steve also has his hand up.
Hello. Matthew, you alluded to a question regarding additional systems that maybe you wanted some input, correct?
Yes.
I would say, from my opinion, the ADAS system as a huge umbrella would be appropriate to be included because, you're dealing with sensors and radar, LiDAR, and all that kind of stuff related to safety, comfort, and convenience. If it gets an a fender bender, you have to recalibrate everything. So I would suggest that be included as other systems.
Thank you.
And shall I go ahead now and open it up to public comment?
Yes, thank you, Ann.
You bet. So we have opened up the Q&A feature of WebEx for public comments. If you would like to make a comment on the issue, you're certainly welcome to locate the question mark inside a box icon, which is on the lower right corner of your computer screen or behind the 3-dot other options if you're using the WebEx app. And we do have, one request for comment from Andrew Haney. Andrew, I'm going to send you a request to unmute your microphone and you'll be able to make your comment.
I just want to echo the support on that ADAS statement. I think the ADAS is certainly something that seems to be off the radar a little bit to the technicalities and complexities to that system. And I just want to echo the support for that.
Thank you.
And we have a hand raised from Hao Nguyen. And Hao, I will send you a request to unmute your microphone.
I'm General Counsel for Comply Auto. I had a quick question regarding the Auto Shop Locator. Is it going to be on a website hosted by BAR? And if so, how widely advertised will this search website be? In my opinion, the effectiveness of the remedial program training is directly related to how well it can be communicated to members of the general public, right? So.
All right. So the Auto Shop Locator is actually a link on BAR's public website. As far as advertisement of the Auto Shop Locator, I don't know that I really have an answer for how much we are putting it out there right now. I know it's mentioned within our industry. I mean, we've talked about it in BAG, we've talked about it, or I'm talking about it right here. It's been around. Right. It's not like brand new. It's been around for at least a little while. I know DCA also has a web license lookup. And in some ways, our Auto Shop Locator links into some of DCA's information as well when you go on there. I could envision that we would probably want to make this more available.
Yeah, so I mean, I ask my friends anecdotally, and they've never heard of it because I've worked with repair facilities for quite some time, and I know most consumers go to websites like Yelp and Google and things like that when they're searching for businesses and restaurants. I'm located in LA County, and as an example, they have the health and safety code or that health score for restaurants when I'm searching restaurants. And I was wondering if BAR is pursuing anything like that, or thinks about pursuing anything like that through Yelp. If somebody looks up an ARD through Yelp, and they'll have a link to their entry in the Auto Shop Locator. Just a thought.
Actually, a good thought, and quite frankly, maybe I should give that some consideration. I can't imagine I can give a shop a score. I will say that. I mean, all I can really do is if we had a link into a shop or allowed somebody the ability to, from say Yelp, I mean, obviously it would be a conversation that would have to happen with them. It would just give them the same information that would be available if you went right directly to our site. And that's
precisely.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you.
And our next request for comment comes from Michael Pickett. Michael, I'm going to go ahead and send you a request to unmute your microphone so that you can ask your question.
Michael Pickett, I'm a private citizen. Currently, when you go to the license lookup and so you're linked to the station locator currently, there's no, like a driver's license, currently with BAR licenses, there's no time limit for how long a notice of violation history. It may not have any information of what the situation was, but there's no time limit to how long a business can be in business and have listed past history violations and citations. Is there a reason for that?
There's a retention schedule within state service related to disciplinary actions, and it's extensive as far as the length of time that we're required to maintain those records. And while we're required to maintain those records, they would be considered public information.
Yeah, because I see 20 years back right now.
Yeah, I think the retention schedule is actually like at the moment is like 99 years.
See, yeah. If it's going to be posted publicly, that kind of becomes abusive, doesn't it?
Well, I think that it's funny. Well, I'm going to say it's not funny, but functionally, it's actually only 7 years, only because of there's an Assembly Bill 2139, I think, that made changes to certain business professions code sections about the when you register for an ARD registration. Actually, when you register for any license, we can take into consideration past disciplinary actions. But at this point, we can only look back 7 years. So I remember when we were looking at the retention schedule recently, I had brought up the fact that it's probably going to have to be modified to include certain realities that at this point, functionally, it's only 7-year history on shops. But anyway, that's the answer. I don't know if it's punitive. It's just a requirement of law. I guess laws can be considered punitive at times.
Thank you.
All right, and at this point now we can come back to Bud Rice, who has his hand up.
Yes, hi. I just wanted to also put my 2 cents in regarding the driving sensors component for inspection. I think that's critical. I mean, it's gonna get a bigger and bigger issue as you go along here. So I think Steve brought that up, and I wanted to second that one as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Bud.
And I do not see any further requests for public comment. Shall I close the public comment?
Yes, please. All right, the next 3 topics are more of an open discussion. So for scholarship opportunities, does anybody have any questions, anything to present regarding any scholarship opportunities? We've had some folks, private industry folks, have comments on this in the past. I don't see any hands raised. There we go. Steve, go ahead.
Hi, Steve Tamori, Rio Hondo College. Yeah, there's a lot of money out there for potential awards to students, either through SAE, the independent group ASCCA, and locally and federally and statewide. So there's a lot of opportunities for students. So I would suggest if you are a part of a school that you should be active with your advisory committee and be aware of all the scholarships available for our auto students. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Bud, comment?
Yeah, we've kind of touched base on this one once before, and it had to do with career technical education funding, and that there just seemed to be a lot of arm twisting that seems to go around on that topic, where music programs and medical programs are like somehow have gotten themselves positioned to be first in line, and by the time the auto technology guys show up, there's no money left. So I'm not sure how to get things arranged so that at least they have a shot at getting some funding through the career technical education process.
And shall I open public comment at this point for scholarship opportunities?
Yes, please, thank you.
You bet. And I've opened up the Q&A feature of WebEx. We've got instructions on the screen. If you would like to ask a question or make a comment, you can click on that question mark inside a box icon at the bottom right of your computer screen or behind the 3-dot other options on the WebEx app, or you can raise your hand if you're calling in by pressing *3. Thought we had a hand up, but I don't see it up any longer. D. Whitmore, I'm going to go ahead and send you a request to unmute your microphone so that you can ask your question. And go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. I am with CNCDA Foundation, and we annually have a scholarship program that benefits auto tech students. It's an annual event. And if you want to know more information or want to get on our mailing list, we're at cncda.org/foundation and join our mailing list. We anticipate we'll be opening our scholarship for this year to benefit the 2022-23 academic year in early March of this year. So we welcome the opportunity to get the word out and have you guys help us get the word out on our scholarship. Thank you.
And this is automotive specifically?
Yes, it is. It's auto technology driven. Yes.
So as Bud said, we're not standing in line behind musicians and medical folks. So
No,
that's
sir, it's over $100,000 that is slated to be given out to auto techs throughout the state of California.
fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And if you want to send the panelists or myself some information on this, maybe we can help get that word out.
I would be happy to. Thank you.
Yeah.
And as a point of clarification, is this Danielle?
Yes, I'm sorry. I should have
Perfect.
clarified that. Yes, Danielle Whitmore with CNCDA Foundation. Thank you.
Thank you. I see no other requests for public comment. Shall I close the Q&A feature?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
And the next topic sort of dovetails right into the scholarships, and that is the overall shortage of inspectors and technicians. They kind of go hand in hand. So any comments, questions on that topic? Okay, seeing nothing.
Shall I open up for public comment at this point?
Yes.
Okay, let's go ahead and go to the public. And again, if you have something that you would wish to contribute, you can either raise your hand or you can look for the question mark inside a box icon in the lower right corner of your computer screen or behind the 3-dot other options on the WebEx app. Or you can raise your hand by hitting *3 if you are calling in.
Go ahead, Steve.
Hi, Steve Tamori, Rio Hondo College. I just want to mention that I'm getting a lot of phone calls from industry looking for techs, either for general service all the way to seasoned techs. I just want to make everyone aware that because of the COVID issue, we've had a difficult time having hands-on lab in our coursework. So it's very difficult for me as an instructor to identify someone to send out in the workforce that I cannot evaluate whether they can basically turn a wrench. They may be good in the classroom, but turning wrenches and things like that, the accountability is really important. I think most folks will agree with me. It's the soft skills that really make a person eligible, along with the the skills, So it's been very difficult to teach auto shop for the past 2 years through a computer without bleeding grease and busting a knuckle. So I just want to make sure everyone's aware of that.
Thank you. Challenging times indeed.
And I do not see any other requests for public comment. Shall I close the Q&A for this issue?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, and Matt Mulkey's up again with Inspector Update Training Platform.
Hello all again. Alrighty. So we had to change vendors for our online training that everyone's been used to for a couple of years because the vendor sunsetted their system that we were using. So in searching for a new vendor, we came upon rise.com. They've worked well for us. With any new program, we did have some growing pains that first month of December. So we started this about December 2nd, figured out some issues, had some common concerns, figured out what the issue was, and it seems to be running smoothly so far, which is exciting for me. Less phone calls and emails. So rise.com is a new vendor. It gives us better tracking abilities. It also works better for the industry and technicians taking the training. Before, a lot of people had problems with Apple products and different computer systems, but this one seems to work on all platforms, PC or Mac based, which is nice. I haven't heard of anybody having the issue lately with it not saving. Like if I started at work and I go home to finish it or vice versa, it picks up where I left off, which is nice. The other program sometimes would make you start all the way over, and that's 3 hours of your life you've wasted sometimes. So this new platform seems to be doing a lot better than our old one. I'm excited about it. It seems to be working well with very minimal issues. And as far as issues, the ones I'm really seeing are people putting in their wrong email address, not checking their spam folders, or just not being computer literate, which are things we can work out pretty easily. So there's, next slide, please. There's the registration process. Instead of before you just click on update training, it would take you right to the training. Now there's a registration process, which helps us track it better too, because instead of having, like if I put in a random technician, he could have 5 different profiles on the Cal ARC system, because you could just go in and say whatever your name was and take the course and it would pop in there, and so be it. You got 10 different emails in there. And then you're wondering why licensing can't find your training because it's on a different email or something. So the new registration platform verifies it's a good email. So you go to our website, you put in your information with an email, they send you an email, and that invites you to Rise. So right there, we've cleaned up a whole bunch of issues we've had historically, which is nice. Yeah. So yeah, most of the problems we had at the first month, those are all been taken care of. So now it's just, did you put in .com versus .com? I've seen Gmail misspelled, Yahoo misspelled, and those are easy fixes when people can't seem to find the invite email. Other than that, I've been pretty happy with it. I'm open to questions, concerns, comments.
Thanks, Matt. Phil, go ahead.
Thanks. I'm happy to hear. I just suggest that there be some kind of a process with those 10 emails to somehow, forget the word, put them all together into one good email. It's not always Bar's problem, obviously. It's mostly not Bar's issue. It's because people like myself has like 7 different emails and forget what was the last email that I used. So finding their stuff can be a challenge for the instructor. However, when we do find duplicates, it would be nice if we had some means of saying these 2 are one and the same person, or these 6, whatever the number may be, and have some process whereby they could be combined into one single person and get the database cleaned up so as not have that problem the next time, the next 2 years. A lot of these students like to go to the same instructor year after year, and we know them personally, and we know that we've got issues with they change the email or they put it in wrong to begin with or whatever. I'm really happy to hear you've got a confirmation process, because that's critical. The email is no good unless it's actually been confirmed by the person. And I know the technology problem is never going to go away. People don't know how to use email still. Some of them claim they don't have one. So it becomes problematic. But if there would be some organized procedure for combining those records into a single record, that would certainly help to alleviate confusion on the part of the instructor.
Thank you, Phil. There is work we're doing on that. Like if you see that in one of your classes, feel free to email the HCSU, the bar, our website or our email, and we work on those. Also, when we take the information from Rise, we filter a little bit and we put it into CalArc, and that's where you guys see it. When we're seeing those duplicates, we are combining them. If there's, Bob Jones has 4 different emails and it's all the same birth date, so we pretty confident it's all the same Bob Jones. We are combining him to whatever email he used on Rise, because that's his most current email. So we are cleaning it up, but it's a dozen a week out of the 13,000 licensees. And
Yeah.
anytime you see it, feel free to email us and we can combine it. It's a little bit of a
Okay.
process, but we can do it.
Might be prudent to execute an email to the working certified instructors to that effect. That email address and the procedure for doing it. I realize a monumental job.
Well, the procedure is internal, like me, Janelle, and Serge are the only ones that have access to do that. That way, not
Yeah.
anybody can go in there and randomly mess with somebody else's account or think that it's the other Bob Jones is really them and it's not. So there's
I
only
get
like
it.
3 or 4 of us that can fix it.
Okay,
But we all
I have
access
sent them
to
to
that
Janelle
email.
before and they have not
Yep.
been fixed, and I'm sure it's because she's got her hands full, but just comment.
Okay.
Just keep passing those along and we will take care of them. I know, like Matt said, we do about a dozen a week.
Thank you.
This is Janelle. Sometimes I'll get them from you, Steve. I just, I do them. I just don't always get the chance to write back to you to confirm it. So I'll work better at that.
Shall I open this for public comment?
Yes, Ann, thank you.
You're welcome. So we are opening up the public comment. If you have anything to share, just look for the question mark inside a box icon at the lower right of your computer screen, behind the 3 dots on your WebEx app, or hit *3 to raise your hand if you're dialing in. And Michael Pickett, will be sending you a request to unmute your microphone so that you can ask your question.
That was on the last topic, so we're good. Don't worry.
Okay, all right, thank you. And then let's see, Ollie James, I'm going to send you a request to unmute so that you can.
Thank you for holding this. I appreciate it. And I'm sure all the other instructors are appreciating it too. I just had 2 quick comments. One, is this being recorded? Because some of the instructors, like myself, also work in a shop during the day and then we teach at night. And I had some of them text me, some associate instructors down here in LA, and they wanted to know, is this being recorded where they can go back and review and see these comments or the presentation at their leisure?
It is being recorded. Yes, it'll be posted.
Okay. And then the second one is, could you please post or repeat the email address to update the students' rosters? Because I don't know about anybody else, but I get tons of triplicates, quadruplicates. These guys, they forget their email address and they'll create another profile and then they'll go from there and they'll say, hey, I renewed my license, but licensing has no record of it. And when we go in there and we start it up, can you just repeat that address to update to get you guys the update again? I know I have Janelle's, but I don't have like the regular one.
Yes, it's a daily battle for us. Janelle, would you please read that off?
Hi, Ollie. This is Janelle.
Hi.
The email address is going to be BAR period H as in hardware, C as in certification, S as in schools, U as in unit. So it's bar.hcsu at DCA for Department of Consumer Affairs .ca for California .gov. Government.
Got it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I'm going to pass that on to the other guys because they're texting me and they're like, hey, what's that? Ask them this, ask them that.
Yeah, that email address is used by everybody in our unit. So
Understood.
either Matt, Sergi, Mark, myself, any of us can grab that and respond back.
Understood. I appreciate it. And thank you guys once again from a lot of us out here that are not participating in it. I don't know how I got roped into this, but I'm busy as heck over here. And I'm trying to do my best to forward their concerns to you guys. But I told them, why don't you guys log in? But I guess they're a little bit busy. But thank you again. Appreciate it.
Ollie, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And I do not see any other requests for public comment, so shall I close that for now?
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, quick comment on the rise. The biggest concern I'm getting from techs is not having their pop-ups turned on. I know it says it right away that you need to have them on, and people just don't. So that's the biggest concern if you can't get to the training is your pop-up's not on because the training opens in another window. That's, yeah.
And as a point of information, we do have one more hand raised from a member of the public. Shall we recognize them?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay, Justin Flint, I'm going to go ahead and send you a request to unmute so that you can ask your question. Go ahead.
On this topic, and some of the previous training that was like on diesels and the low pressure fuel evap and some of the hybrid got sunset when we switched over to a new platform. Is there still plans to bring that back? If I remember right, that some of that training was specifically required for like the level 1 or level 2 inspector, and it's disappeared.
Matt Mulkey, what's our plan with that?
We're planning to ignore Justin.
Come on, Matt.
The hybrid is back up there, but the diesel is not. I'm not sure which other ones.
I think the low pressure fuel evap was another one.
Yeah, LEPVAT was up there. Sorry, low pressure fuel evap. I make up acronyms. Those are two other ones that we're supposed to be working on, which is essentially taking the old training that was, it was articulated online and that sunsetted on 12/31. So those, and also those I think were both flash. So they sunsetted all on their own, but then they were based on articulate online. So that went away. So now we're in the process of taking articulate online and turning it into a video that we can host essentially on YouTube via our public website. And those both got put on hold because most of my attention has been dealing with RISE issues until I, like just a week or so ago, got it all figured out to where people can use it and it doesn't freeze up and start over on them. So that is next on the list, but currently, yeah, those two are still missing. We have rehosted all the module 1 through module 9s are now, instead of being articulate online, those are videos now based off of YouTube. Those are all available.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. And Justin, thank you for your comments. We have been scrambling to convert over to RISE since Articulate Online and Flash was going away. So we will get those back up, renewed and back up. Thank you. Okay, Ann, I think that's it.
As far as I know, that's it.
Okay. And Janelle is up again. Janelle, go ahead.
All right, good morning, everybody. I'm going to be talking about the certified institutions and the certified instructor recertification for all of those that are already current instructors as well as current schools, what the steps to do to process renewals. Next slide. So first, the recertification for certified institutions. Step 1, you're going to complete the application to become a Bureau certified institution. So this goes, even though it says recertification, most of these steps are similar if you are a institution wanting to become a school for initial certification. Most of these steps are the same. They're just listed as recertification. So the forms are on the Bureau website. They can be found at the www.bar.ca.gov. You can do a search in the top left corner. If you don't want to try to find it, just type in certified institution or certified instructor, and a quick search will bring those forms up. Anybody that is not a public institution, so public institution are occupational centers, community colleges. We classify you as a private post-secondary institution. And when you apply for certification with bar, you do need to attach a letter from the Bureau of Private Post-Secondary Education. We call that BPPE. And they basically, you apply with them. You either will apply under one form, which is approval to operate, and usually that is if you're filing for a credentialed, or you can apply as a verification of exempt status, which most of our private post-secondary institutions are under. They give you a list of government codes, and you basically will read over those and decide which one fits your institution. Once you are clear with that, the BPPE will issue you a letter, either an approval to operate letter with a number or a verification of exempt status. You're going to attach that letter with your TS1 application to become a Bureau certified institution. And then you can mail it in snail mail. If you want it to be processed a little bit faster, you can package it up into a PDF document and email it to our hardware certification schools unit. And that email address is there on the slide as well. Once we receive the application, we will contact you and get you the station inspection audit checklist. So there's a list of equipment that is required for each institution to have. The schools basically will review that checklist. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. The schools will review
It looks like
then they
Janelle
will
is having
contact
connection
BAR
issues.
back, the hardware certification unit, and we will get you scheduled with an. You guys might turn off my camera, that might be better.
Thanks,
Once the
Janelle.
school is ready, for inspection, you can let us know, and then we will, Tim Wilson in engineering has been assisting me, and he basically will get a appointment scheduled with the school, and he will have a representative come out to inspect the school. They'll perform the inspection using the audit checklist, and then you'll know if you're missing anything. If there's any deficiencies, the representative will let you know. The deficiencies will need to be cleared before we can certify the school. If everything goes well as planned, there's no issues at time of inspection, the audit checklist comes back to me. Once the field rep sends it back through what's a process called DocuSign, it goes through and then it comes back to me, and then basically the institution is recertified, or the institution, if they're a new institution, they are then certified to teach. I did notice on here, I did list if there are any deficiencies that are noted on the station inspection report, we may need to do a follow-up inspection where we come back out and we re-inspect the facility for those deficiencies to be corrected. All right, moving on to certified instructors. Certified instructors, your process to renew is basically you'll go on to the Bureau website, www.bar.ca.gov. You will fill out TS2, number 2, which is the application to become a Bureau certified instructor. Now, in the past, I know a lot of you would just email me and say, hey, my SMOG license is renewed. Can you process the CI renewal? We are now moving to the application. Everybody fills out the application. Anytime you don't have a current certificate, the certificate you guys hang on the wall, we're asking you to complete that application as well. And then you'll email it to our BAR hardware certification unit, and we will process that. They do have to be reviewed to make sure that your licenses are current, both SMOG, inspector, and repair technician, as well as all ASEs. So if there's any problems with any of those, whether one ASE is expired or your SMOG license, inspector, or repair are expired, Those all have to be current in order to hold certification as an instructor. So those are reviewed. Once those are reviewed, then you'll be emailed back a certified instructor certificate, and then your date in the CalArc will also be updated so that you can continue to teach and input classes. Go ahead and go to the next slide. And we can go ahead and open it to public comment.
See a couple of hands up there, Ian.
Heidi, I'm going to go ahead and put up public comment. Is there anyone on the panel who would like to weigh in on this? And then I do have the Q&A feature of WebEx open. So if you'd like to comment, you can either raise your hand or you can go to the question mark inside a box icon at the bottom of the screen or behind the three dots if you're on the WebEx app. I have a hand raised from Phil Torres. Phil, I'm going to send you a request to unmute your microphone. You can go ahead and ask your question.
Hello?
Yes.
All right. Hi, Janelle. This is Phil Torres. Hey, I'm at Los Medanos College, and I filled out the form like, shoot, it's almost been a year. And as soon as we, I actually was ahead. We were expiring, so I went and filled out the forms. I've just never received any contact back. They usually send us the packet with the checklist, and I haven't received anything. So should I do it all again?
Hey Phil, it's Janelle. Yes, if you can fill it out. I don't know if you're talking about the school specifically or if you're talking about your instructor certification. But go ahead. Both? Okay, yeah, go ahead and fill out both forms, and then if you can email it, they need to come into the bar hardware certification unit because we have a tracking program that way. If you can send them into that email address that was on the slide, and I can send it to you if you need it, but if you can send those in, the processing time for those, you should hear back from somebody within at least a week. For the schools, it does take a little longer for the inspections, but you should definitely be hearing from myself or Tim Wilson within a few days of your application coming in. We will contact you to let you know, hey, we received the application and here's the next steps. For the schools, we'll send you the station inspection report. And then it's really on the schools to let us know, hey, we've reviewed the station inspection report, the blank form. We're ready for inspection. And then you'll let us know. And then Tim's really great about getting a field rep to come out there. I would say they typically come out within 30 days of you telling us that you're ready. A lot of the times it's sooner than that. I'd say within 1 to 2 weeks after you let us know that they're ready, if there's no issues in that area. And then if there's no deficiencies with the school, we get those certified within the following week after receiving the DocuSign inspection back. So if you can fill out those applications from the bar website and get them over to me, and I can get those processed to you by this Friday.
Okay, thank you very much. I know I did it a long time ago, and I was looking at my old emails, and you had said, hey, I'm a little bit ahead of everything, and that it was changing, but I still I didn't receive anything. So we'll do it again. Thank you very much, Janelle.
Thank you, Phil.
And I do not see any other requests for public comment. I do not see any other raised hands. Phil looks like just put his hand up.
Go ahead, Phil.
Thanks. Janelle, as far as the change there, can we expect an email to the bar certified instructors as far as the change in policy with that, I wrote it down, TS-2 form for renewing the instructor's license?
Sure. I can go ahead. I'll take a note, Phil. I can copy these 3 slides for the instructor certification in schools, and I will go ahead and send those out to all active certified instructors and the schools,
Okay.
just so that if you're not on this meeting, you guys all have that.
I think that would be helpful. Thank you. That's all.
Also, just a little note here. I know a lot of you guys knew our unit as the standard and training unit prior. So we did rebuild. We mentioned that on the last educational advisory group meeting, but just in case you guys weren't on that one. My prior supervisor, Ed Van Mill, had retired, and Mark Isaacs is the new supervisor over this unit. So standard and training became the hardware certification and schools unit. So with that, we lost a couple of people. We lost Corey Jang. He moved on to another state entity, and Ed Van Mill retired. And now there's myself, Janelle, you guys all know me, Matt Mulkey, who takes care of most of the training, and then Sergi Suprin also is in our unit, and Mark Isaacs as a supervisor. So we are basically cleaning up what the S&T stuff was. So we are requesting applications from all schools and all certified instructors again. Basically, you guys will be doing those as your license expires, but if you want to get a head start on it, you're more than welcome to. You basically will fill out the application, either the TS1 for the institution or the TS2 for the instructors, and send those in. We had asked for all the schools to fill out the application and send those in by September 30th. There's still quite a few schools that have not done that. And so basically we just assumed you guys were not teaching, and so they're not active schools. If you haven't received a certification that's current, please make sure you fill out those applications and get those into us, and we can get you guys recertified.
Thanks, Janelle.
And it looks like we have a raised hand from Jay Cacelli. I'm going to go ahead and send you a request to unmute your microphone so you can ask your question. And you're unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I had a question about previous requirements in order to renew your instructor license. There are certain requirements about, having taught a class within a certain time frame and other requirements. Is that going to continue moving forward?
Yes, we use those basically when you attend the bar instructor update. We do request that you have somehow, one or way or the another, within the last 18 months you have taught a bar certified class, or you participated as a subject matter expert in some form of curriculum development or examination development. We just need to know that the instructors that are out there are currently teaching. We have over 400 instructors on my list. Some of them have never taught a class. They basically just wanted to get the title and slap it on a resume somewhere. And they've never taught a class, and some of them have even admitted to me that they don't plan on it. So the number of active instructors, there's probably about 150 active instructors. And I see Michael Pickett's comment in the chat as well. An active instructor to us at BAR is basically somebody that has taught a course within the last year and a half, or is actively participating in our curriculum review or exam development or curriculum development, something that pertains to training. We consider them an active instructor, and then they also hold current certification in inspector and repair in all their ASCs.
Okay, and then Justin Flint, I'm going to send you a request to unmute your microphone so that you can ask your question.
Yeah, I came into the meeting a little bit late and I missed some of the stuff at the beginning. And so I apologize if this was covered more thoroughly, but I got a request earlier this week from a community member here in Bakersfield that would like to become a certified instructor. And I went and looked at the criteria, and it requires that they have some teaching experience. And I'm curious, to be acceptable teaching experience, do they have to be employed as an instructor, or can someone kind of shadow you while you teach?
Justin, that's a great question. We do want the instructors that are coming into the program to have some sort of education and experience, because like I said, we have people that basically have come through, and a lot of the times what happens is we have subject matter experts that run our oral evaluation panel. We do have a bar advisor in there, but they're not basically grading the applicant. These are subject matter experts that are currently teaching in the field. They are basically a panel. They're given a criteria of what to grade this person on. We have lots of people that can say they want to become an instructor and then they never teach. We don't want that. We have tons of instructors. We need quality instructors that really are going to come into the program and give the information. We've brought on quite a few different pathways that are on the application. So like I said, we'd like them to have some sort of either education or experience in order to qualify to at least come to take the written exam and then move to the oral presentation before we can certify them.
All right, and I do not see any other requests for comment from the public. Shall I close the Q&A feature?
Yes.
Thank you.
And that does lead us to general open public comment section. So let's look for raised hands and we'll try to address your question, concern, or we accept comments as well.
All righty, so I'm reopening the Q&A. If there are any general questions, you can look for the question mark inside a box at the lower right of your computer screen or behind the 3 dots, other options if you're on the app, or you can hit *3 to raise your hand if you are on a phone.
Looks pretty quiet, Ann.
I'm not seeing
I do
any.
see a question from John Guffison in the chat. Hi, John. This is Janelle. As far as your license renewal, due May 31st this year, as an instructor, do I need to take the 4-hour RISE training? Yes. Basically, everybody who holds an inspector license, whether you're a certified instructor or not, the RISE training or the inspector update training is required for your EO inspector license. Everybody takes that. So everybody will take that. If you haven't taken it for your renewal, you'll take it again. It's called the 4.0 now. It's called basically Inspector Update 4.0, which goes through RISE. So everybody will take it. And then as far as your repair technician, you'll still do those hours as well. And then for the certified instructors, we typically will hold a instructor update. We hold those every 2 years. So we just held that November 2020. So we do not have one planned for this year. I know I've been getting a lot of questions. We do not have one planned for this year. So plan accordingly. If you do renew and you didn't attend the last November update, plan accordingly. If you have manufacturer update training or if you've taken a course, you can submit those to me via email or the bar hardware certification unit, and we can review those for credit.
Thanks, Janelle.
And we have a raised hand from someone identifying as BAC. I'm going to send you a request to unmute your microphone so that you can ask your question. And you're unmuted.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Great. Bruce Cosby, Advanced Automotive Training. Quick question on the experience of a technician out there becoming an instructor. If we have a lot of qualified guys out there that are brilliant at what they do, and want to become an instructor, but how do they do that if you're requiring some either formal education or some training? I think the gentleman before asked something about shadowing. Is that acceptable to have to do mentorships in the classroom, and whether it be documented or not, that would lead to a pathway so that individual could become an instructor? Or what, can you elaborate a little bit more about that qualification?
Hi, Bruce. It's Janelle. So at this time, we do not allow any shadowing of an instructor. When we reviewed the education and experience requirements, when we went through those, they went through basically a group that was in education and subject matter experts as well. We require at least 3 pathways, either a teaching credential from the Department of Education is one, 6 semester college units on the subject of vocational teaching is another, or a letter of recommendation for either that they've been teaching either as a high school or community college administrator, and that is documenting at least a year teaching experience. So we want basically some form that they have taken some form of vocational education or teaching, or that they've been in front of a classroom. We need that basically because, like I said, we have tons of people that want to become an instructor, and once they get up in front of the oral panel to give a presentation on just an emissions related component, they have a really hard time conveying that information and answering questions from subject matter experts. And they shouldn't have a hard time if they're basically instructing. We want them to go through some form of formal educational training before they become a certified instructor.
Okay, so let me follow up and go back to the 6 semester units. Could an individual do that online training?
Yes, as long as it's from a qualified school. So it would be 6 semester college units on the subject of vocational teaching. They can take that from anywhere, and they can attach that with their application.
Okay, and do the 6 semester units have to be completed prior to application, or if they're enrolled and can show proof that they're enrolled, can they go ahead and submit applications and start the process before completing the 6 semester units?
Everything has to be completed at time of application in order to move forward in being scheduled for the written and the oral examination.
Okay, and then one last question on the VOC requirements. Does it specifically have to be in education, or could it be maybe towards business or some other concept, since business is directly related to our industry anyhow?
Yeah, we it's specific to education or vocational education teaching. I know many years before this, it was basically if you had an AA in automotive, you could apply. Now it is specific to education or vocational teaching.
Because that gets
Okay.
more into teaching theory.
Great. Thanks, Kevin. Excellent. Okay, thank you for answering that question. I'm finished.
Great question, Bruce. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, and I do not see any further requests for comment. I can close out that if you'd like.
Yes, please. Okay, well, thank you for everybody that joined, especially those that actively participated and our panelists. We look forward to doing this again later on in the year. And we are here, and you have the ways to get a hold of us if you need anything along these lines. And if there's nothing else, I think we are done for today. Thanks again, everybody.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.